Welcome to Midnight Sleep Crime Story. I'm going to help you relax tonight. I know many of you want to use this video to fall asleep. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to this channel. Let me know where you're watching from and what is the time there. Also do well by telling me the kind of story you would like to listen to. Story title: She Thought She Had All the Time in the World. The test of love. For nearly 10 years, Emily Carter searched for happiness in all the wrong places. The beautiful young woman from Seattle seemed to have everything: charm, intelligence, and a smile that could light up a room. Yet every time she trusted someone, her heart ended up shattered. One relationship after another, one disappointment after another, one lost year after another. And by the time she turned 30, she had begun to wonder if true love simply wasn't meant for her. But fate had a very different plan, because somewhere, hundreds of miles away, a wealthy and famous entrepreneur named Ethan Harrison was about to walk into her life. And when he did, everything would change, except for one condition. One condition that would force Emily to confront every decision she had made during the previous decade. One condition that could either lead to the wedding of her dreams, or destroy her future forever. Emily Carter had always been the life of every gathering. During college she became known as the girl who could make friends with anyone. She loved excitement. She loved adventure. She loved attention. And most of all, she loved being around people. Unfortunately, not everyone around her deserved her trust. At 21, she met Jake Thompson. Jake was handsome, funny, confident. He knew exactly what to say. For a while Emily believed she had found her soulmate. Then one evening she discovered he had been seeing two other women at the same time. The heartbreak nearly crushed her. Yet instead of learning from the experience, Emily convinced herself that the next man would be different. But the next one wasn't. Neither was the one after him. Year after year, Emily found herself surrounded by men who loved excitement but avoided commitment. Men who made promises they never intended to keep. Men who enjoyed her company but never truly valued her heart. And before she realized it, nearly a decade had passed. On her 30th birthday, Emily sat alone in her apartment. Rain tapped softly against the window. The city lights shimmered beyond the glass. A birthday cake rested untouched on the kitchen counter. Her phone remained silent. Many of the friends she once spent every weekend with had disappeared. Others were married. Some were raising children. For the first time in years, Emily felt completely alone. As she stared out into the darkness, a painful thought crossed her mind. Maybe she had wasted the best years of her life. The realization hurt more than any breakup she had ever experienced. Tears slowly rolled down her cheeks. She didn't know it then, but that lonely birthday would become the turning point of her life. 3 months later, Emily's co-worker convinced her to attend a charity gala in New York. She almost declined, but something told her to go. The ballroom sparkled beneath crystal chandeliers. Elegant music floated through the air. Hundreds of guests mingled around the room. Then she saw him. Ethan Harrison, the billionaire entrepreneur everyone seemed to recognize. Tall, confident, well-dressed, yet surprisingly humble. Emily sat in the doctor's office. Her hands trembled. The doctor entered with a folder. A gentle smile appeared on his face. Emily held her breath. The silence felt endless. Then he spoke, and everything changed. Emily sat motionless in the doctor's office. The clock on the wall seemed louder than ever. Tick, tick, tick. Her palms felt cold. The doctor opened the folder and looked up. "Emily," he said gently, "your HIV test result is negative." For several seconds, she simply stared, unable to process the words. Then relief washed over her like a powerful wave. The tension she had carried for days disappeared. Tears filled her eyes. Not because she had feared the worst, but because she had finally realized how much she had taken her future for granted. The doctor continued explaining the rest of her health report. Everything looked good. Everything was normal. Had he changed his mind? Had he discovered something about her past? Had someone told him lies about her? The uncertainty felt unbearable. 3 days later, Emily received an unexpected phone call. The caller identified himself as Michael Reed, one of Ethan's oldest friends. His voice sounded serious. "Emily, there's something you need to know." Emily's heart raced. "What happened?" Michael hesitated, then answered, "Ethan's father died when he was 17. Emily listened quietly. Ethan watched his family fall apart afterward. His mother became depressed. His younger sister struggled emotionally for years. Michael paused. He promised himself that if he ever built a family, he would protect it with everything he had. Emily slowly understood. The medical tests had never been about judgment. They had been about responsibility, about honesty, about protecting the future. But it still didn't explain Ethan's disappearance. On the 4th day, a courier arrived at Emily's apartment. Inside was a handwritten letter. The moment she recognized Ethan's handwriting, her heart began pounding. The letter read, "Emily, if you're reading this, I'm sorry for disappearing. I never wanted to worry you. The truth is that something unexpected appeared in one of my medical reports. The doctors aren't sure what it means yet. Additional tests are being conducted. I didn't want to burden you until I had answers. Please believe me." And a love story she never saw coming. 3 years after their wedding, life seemed perfect. Emily and Ethan were living the life they had always dreamed about. Their home overlooked a peaceful lake. Their marriage was strong. Their happiness appeared unshakable. Then one rainy Thursday afternoon, Emily received a phone call. The number was unfamiliar. Normally she would have ignored it, but something urged her to answer. "Hello?" For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then a woman's voice emerged. Soft, nervous, almost trembling. "Is this Emily Harrison?" "Yes." The woman hesitated, then said something that instantly froze Emily in place. "I need to tell you something about your husband." The room suddenly felt colder. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. "What about him?" Another long pause followed. Then the woman whispered, "There's something from his past that he never told you." And the line went dead. The rest of the day felt strange. Emily tried convincing herself it was a prank, yet the caller's voice sounded genuine, concerned, afraid. That night Ethan returned home smiling. As usual, nothing appeared different. Nothing appeared suspicious. Still, the phone call lingered in Emily's mind. Should she tell him? Should she ignore it? Should she investigate? For the first time in years, doubt entered her heart, and doubt, once invited in, can become difficult to remove. A week later, Emily visited a storage room in their home. She was searching for old family albums. Instead, she discovered a sealed box. The label read, "Personal EH." Curiosity got the better of her. Inside were old photographs, newspaper clippings, letters, and one photograph that immediately captured her attention. A younger Ethan stood beside a beautiful woman, their arms wrapped around each other, both smiling, both appearing deeply in love. Written on the back was a date, 15 years earlier, alongside a handwritten message, "Forever yours, Sophia." Emily stared at the photograph. Who was Sophia? And why had Ethan never mentioned her? That evening Emily finally asked. They sat together beside the fireplace. The photograph rested on the coffee table. The moment Ethan saw it, his expression changed. The smile vanished. The color drained from his face. Silence filled the room. Emily had never seen him react that way before. "Who is she?" Ethan slowly sat down, his eyes fixed on the photograph. For several moments he said nothing. Then he answered, "Sophia was the woman I planned to marry." Emily's heart skipped. The words felt heavier than she expected. Ethan took a slow breath. "I loved her very much." Outside, rain tapped softly against the windows. Inside, the room felt perfectly still. What happened? Ethan closed his eyes. Pain flashed across his face. Then he began telling a story he had spent 15 years trying to forget. Sophia Bennett entered Ethan's life when he was 24, long before the wealth, long before the fame, long before the world knew his name. Back then he was simply a young dreamer struggling to build a business. Sophia believed in him, encouraged him, supported him. She stood beside him during his hardest years, and eventually they became engaged. Life seemed perfect, until one winter evening. A snowstorm changed everything. A truck lost control on an icy highway. Sophia's car was struck. She never made it home. Ethan received the phone call shortly after midnight, and from that moment onward, part of his heart remained broken. Even years later, even after success, even after meeting Emily, the loss never completely disappeared. Tears filled Emily's eyes as Ethan spoke. For the first time she understood the condition before their marriage, the medical tests, the need for certainty, the fear. None of it came from control. It came from loss. Ethan had once built a future with someone he loved, then watched that future vanish overnight. After losing Sophia, he became terrified of losing another person. The fear stayed hidden beneath the surface, invisible, yet always present. And suddenly many pieces of the puzzle fit together. Several days later, another call arrived. This time Emily answered immediately. The same voice, the same woman, the same nervous tone. "Please don't hang up." Emily remained silent. The caller continued. "My name is Rebecca. Who are you?" "I was Sophia's younger sister." Emily's eyes widened. Rebecca explained everything. She had recently seen Ethan in a magazine. Old emotions resurfaced. She wondered whether Emily knew about Sophia. When she realized Ethan had never spoken about her publicly, she became concerned. Not out of malice, not out of jealousy, but because Sophia had once been such an important part of Ethan's life. Rebecca apologized for causing fear. Emily listened quietly, then thanked her. When the conversation ended, the mystery finally disappeared. There had been no secret affair, no betrayal, no deception, only unfinished grief. And sometimes grief can remain hidden for many years. Months later, while renovating their lake house attic, Ethan discovered an old envelope. Inside was a letter Sophia had written shortly before her death. A letter he had never opened. A letter that somehow became lost among old belongings. With trembling hands, he unfolded the paper. Emily sat beside him. The handwriting appeared elegant and familiar. The message was simple. "If life ever separates us, promise me something. Promise me you will continue living. Promise me you will continue loving. Promise me you will not allow sadness to become your permanent home. If you ever find happiness again, embrace it completely. You deserve that happiness. Love always, Sophia." By the time Ethan finished reading, tears flowed freely down his face. Emily wrapped her arms around him, and together they sat quietly beneath the attic window, watching sunlight spill across the floorboards. A chapter that had remained unfinished for 15 years had finally reached its ending. The following spring brought unexpected news. Emily was pregnant. The moment she shared the news, Ethan could barely speak. His eyes filled with tears. His hands trembled. Years earlier he had feared losing everything. Now life was giving him something extraordinary. 9 months later, a healthy baby girl entered the world. They named her Grace, because Grace had carried them through every challenge, every fear, every uncertainty, and every test. As Ethan held his daughter for the first time, he understood something profound. Life does not erase pain, it transforms it. The heartbreaks of yesterday can become the wisdom of tomorrow, and sometimes the greatest love stories begin only after surviving life's hardest chapters. If you love this story, kindly like, comment and subscribe to this channel. Have a nice pleasant sleep.